Does the lunch wrap start now or 12:30? Is it is it now? All right. So I'm just wondering if more people are coming. Is it at 12:30 or is it now? Is it 12:15? Oh, okay. All right. So okay, here we are. Oh, let's turn. This is a maybe a short lunch wrap, but maybe it's a good one, and maybe it develops more. But turn to Esther chapter 1, and um, and we have a king, Ahasuerus, and he has a party that goes 6 months. You know, this celebration in Persia. It goes for 180 days. That's verse 4. He showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the splendor of his excellent majesty for many days, 180 days in all. So this is a big celebration that goes on for months. And so there's certain rules that he's going by. I don't know why, but I think often about this verse 6. There were white and blue linen curtains fastened with cords of fine linen, purple on silver rods, marble pillars, and the couches were of gold and silver, on a mosaic pavement of alabaster, turquoise, and white and black marble. Like, wow, what great language that is, isn't it? I like the language and thinking of this incredible exhibition of wealth and pomp. Okay, verse 7. And he served drinks in golden vessels, each vessel being different from the other. And I like that idea too. So I'm just going to just share when I'm reading the Bible how I read the Bible and a few things that I observe about it. I don't know what the meaning of it exactly. There's a couple things here. All right. So why were there different vessels, and what's the meaning of having different vessels? And they drank with royal wine in abundance according to the generosity of the king. But this verse is like for you and I that do not drink, is verse 8. In accordance with the law, the drinking was not compulsory. Okay, it's not required. Like, isn't that a good verse to quote when you're in a bar room? You shouldn't be there anyway, but they just say, "Would you like to have some?" No, it's not compulsory. It's not required of me. I don't have to drink. Okay. But then look at what he says. For so the king had ordered all the officers of his household that they should do according to each man's pleasure. So it depended on each man's preference whether he drank and how much he drank or if he didn't drink at all. Okay. So that's like one point. What's the meaning of that? What is the meaning of it? Can you think of it at your table for a moment? What's the meaning of it? Okay. Okay. That's a good. That's I think that's it. Okay, we have 2 points that we're going to look at here. One is in a liberal and free society, you have choices. You know, you can choose. Like Are you going to do this or do that? Do you have the freedom to choose? Like in our world, in our society, do we have the freedom to choose, right? Right? What do you want to do? It's up to you. Like the problem in principle in life is that people don't know how to govern themselves. They don't know how to direct their steps. They don't know how to make decisions because if I don't have a reference that's based on truth, if I don't have truth, I'm not spirit filled, then how do I govern myself? So it actually becomes a problem for people in making their own decisions because they don't have the governance for their life. Okay. So now look at the other opposite side of it is verse 9. Queen Vashti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. Uh, what does this mean? The men are having their celebration, and the women decide to have one too, right? You know, rah rah for the women. Come on, ladies. Yeah, yeah. Okay, but here comes the bad news. Verse 19. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagatha, Zahar, Karka, 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of King Ahasuerus, to bring Queen Vashti before the king, wearing her royal crown, in order to show her beauty to the people and the officials, for she was beautiful to behold. All right, so the woman is beautiful. The king wants everybody to see her, and she's thinking, I don't want to go. Verse 12. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command, brought by his eunuchs. Therefore the king was furious, and his anger burned within him. Now we have a very interesting point here, and that is when you drank, you had the freedom to drink or not. But when my wife is to come and she decides not to come, she doesn't have that liberty. I'm furious about it. Like that can happen. So here is a kind of just a thought about society in general. You have the liberty to decide, but not always. You have the freedom to decide what you're doing regarding the drinking. It's up to you. But when it comes to this issue, you don't have a choice. So this is verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men who understood the times, for this was the king's manner toward all who knew law and justice, those closest to him being Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia who had access to the king's presence and who ranked highest in the kingdom. What shall we do to Queen Vashti according to law? Because she did not obey the command of King Ahasuerus brought to her by the eunuchs. Okay, so here we have, there's no tolerance, okay, for her disobedience. Number one, she doesn't have that liberty to make that decision. She has to be submitted to her husband. And then, of course, it's not exactly the parallel, but it is an interesting thing about the world that we live in. There are things that you have the freedom to choose, but then we don't have the right governance. That's a problem. Then if we have the right governments, we have the freedom to choose. Second case, this woman should be obedient to her husband, but she isn't. So now she's going to be dealt with by law. And another way that her husband could have approached her would have been not by law, but by grace. Like he could have loved her, or he could have sat with her and understood her, and there could have been a ministry. But instead, she was, removed, and that was not tolerated. Because actually, in the text, the king asked the princes what to do. And they said, if you let her get away with this, then all the women in the kingdom, in the empire, are going to have a reference for doing the same thing, disobeying their husbands. So we cannot allow that. So those are a couple of thoughts to meditate on. And I don't know if I have much more to say about it. I think I said enough. Okay, goodbye. So you can talk at your table for a minute. If you have a question, you can ask me. What do you think? Huh?
There's only two sources of leadership in the world, God or Satan. Those are the two authorities, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and whether we believe that or not,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And I didn't know I was serving the devil before I got saved. Did you? I did.
No, I didn't know.
Ephesians 2, 1 and 2 says that. Even
Yes.
Paul said, we all walked according to the course of this world. So the thing is that, like you
Yes,
said,
you're right.
if it's the wrong premise, then it's the wrong leadership. You know what I mean?
You're right.
It's not good. Not good.
Wow, that's great.
Like you said, he could have given her grace.
Yes,
As
he
the
could
king.
have.
But
Yes, he could.
look what God did for us.
Yes.
Gave us grace and mercy. It's amazing. That makes sense. He was drunk too, Dustin. He was feeling high because of the wine vodka.
Yeah. That's another good point. Yeah, not making good judgments because of alcohol. What do you think? That's a good point.
It's like when we receive something and we know that we have received it, now we can give that to others. You know what I mean? And like that message you were talking about this morning, is learning how not to get, how to give people grace and mercy. It's incredible. If I know that I have been forgiven, I can forgive you no matter what you do to me. Don't get me wrong, I don't like it, but I can forgive because God has forgiven me for everything. You know what I mean? And I don't even know the magnitude of that. But all I know is the magnitude of what you just did to me. And hey, I can forgive you. You know what I mean? And not only that, it doesn't eat me out. Like, I think you brought up things that happen in our bloodstreams and this and that, all kinds of things that happen as a result of sin in our life,
Yeah.
that we don't even know what's going on. But when I know God's given me mercy, I can receive mercy for myself when I fail. And mercy leads me to grace, like in Romans. Have mercy to find grace in time of need. Mercy is important. You know what I mean? Forgiving myself, forgiving other people. It's incredible.
Mm.
That's the thought that came to me.
Does anybody have a comment or something? Question? Yeah, Pam. Yeah, these men were drunk. Okay. Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. So Pam is saying this is because it's on the internet. So, well, I mean, yeah, but so Pam is saying that why didn't she go before the men? Maybe because they were drunk. They were showing off. They like she was an object of their their interest, which in a modest way wouldn't be a bad thing, but maybe she sensed something, that she didn't want to be part of. Like uh, yeah, I guess you have to be a woman to understand it better. Because I think you want to be noticed or recognized, but maybe not paraded or something. I don't know. There's something not right about it. Was it like some kind of abuse, or you feel what? He was what? Okay. Billy Graham was saying that Vashti was modest and not wanting to do that, go before all of those men, in that way. Yeah, Valerie. Yeah, yeah, like the king. Yeah, the king had been boasting about her, and then like she's not cooperating, and that really is like a shame on him and his leadership. That's how he feels. So he isn't it like a marriage counseling session? Like on his hand, he feels shamed or embarrassed in front of his friends or his government, and then she feels like somehow abused or taken advantage of, and that this isn't right. Like in her mind, it's not right. In his mind, it's her duty. But to cave for him to say, this is none of your business to the Persian princes. Like if she's not coming, that's fine with me. Yeah, maybe she's not feeling well. Maybe there's something in it that's just not right. I'm offending her, or however it was. Did he have any of those sensitivities? Like if he was drunk, like no, and that's like one reason why marriages do get in trouble because of alcohol. Because men and women both fail in judgment. They don't have the right judgment. They're not thinking in love, and they also say things that are stupid. Like, say, for example, you have a very good marriage. They both get drunk, and then one of them says, I never really loved you. You know, okay, that's so stupid to say a sentence like that. But because he's drunk or she's drunk, they end up saying things that hurt each other, and the marriage falls apart. Why drink? Why drink? You live a happy life without it. It's crazy. Okay, so that's part of the problem. But then go back to ministry. Did the king have a ministry to his wife? Like he didn't have, right? No, he didn't have. What was he? He was demanding something from her without investing in her, maybe, without understanding her. I'm on her side too. Like I don't. I mean that you got to understand. First Peter 3:7. You live with the woman according to knowledge. First Peter 3:7. You live according to knowledge. You also learn to give grace, and you love as Jesus loved the church and laid down his life for the church. But does he have that capacity? Obviously, no, because he goes to law. And she gets nixed. She's done. And so what happens when she's done? He just gets another one. And like that's like another thing that human beings do that, but it's not necessarily a wise thing to do. You might end up with the same problem or hurting another person or any number of things can be said about it, but like that's not the ministry. Ministry is learning to live with another person in grace and truth. So let's say he forgives her, he covers her, he's a covering for her, and he stands up for her in face of the other princes. They're the leaders in the government, and he goes, let me tell you guys something. My wife doesn't want to come here in front of us. I thought it would be a great idea. It's not a good idea. My wife is not feeling well, or my wife cannot do this. And so that's the end of the story. You know, it's like none of your business. This is my wife. This is my marriage. And he stands up for her. So, what about that problem in marriages? Like the man does not stand up, does not lay down his life, is not protecting his wife, not giving grace to his wife. What about that problem? Why am I talking to mostly women here today when it should be all men? Well, yes, yes, yes. We don't want to be disobedient. Bert said, we don't want to be disobedient as women. At the same time, there are questions, you said? For situations. There's understanding that maybe we're looking for. And also, you want the man to be on your side, covering you. Afrus. This is turning into a good rap. Go ahead. Okay. Yes. Can, can, yes. Okay. Can I repeat it? I mean, because like not everybody knows the story exactly. It goes like this. With the second woman, when she had to go before the king, she said to her uncle Mordecai, I cannot go before the king unless he calls me. And Mordecai said, you have to go. You have to go anyway, even when you're not called. Meaning the king puts out his royal scepter, right? In the first wife, he is doing that. He's saying, come and show yourself. Come and show yourself. She doesn't. And the second wife, he doesn't call her, but she has to go because she's called to do it. So you're saying it's a parallel to people that are in the world. Unsaved people are asked to come. but they don't. And then the saved people that have a calling do go to God, even when it's not so clear. They just do it by faith. Okay, very good. Yes, Leah.
Remember the convention, A More Excellent Way? Pastor Luigi gave an example of Joseph having to decide what to do with Mary, either to put her away publicly or to let her be disgraced, or well, one or the other, to put her away or to put her away. But he chose a more excellent way, which God had to show him, and he married her. And it's like um, this king, he did not choose the more excellent
You're
way.
right. You're right.
He did not. He just put her away.
You're right.
And there's always a
There's a
way.
third way.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a third way.
there's a third way.
Let me repeat it, because okay, um, when Mary was found to be pregnant, and Joseph found out about it, he had two choices. One was to make it public, let everybody know that Mary is pregnant, and they're not married, and that would have been a big problem. The other one was to put her away privily or privately, just have her. And then there was a third way, which was to go before God and hear from God. And God said, marry her. And that's what the third way was. In this case, Hezekiah asked his wife to come. That would have been if she had come and obeyed. That would have been one way. The other one is she doesn't come. And so what should he do? He just removes her. He could remove her, but there would be a third way, and that would be to go to God and minister to her. Yeah, Pastor Bill. Siblings or children. Is that Andrew and his wife, American wife? Megan, yeah, Merkel. Right, right.